here, but we're back. How many of you were at the first Momento Con? Feels like ages ago, right? We've all been through a lot since then. My name is Brandon. I'm going to be bringing our guests on here. We're going to have a lot of Q&A going, but most of all, we want to defer to the actors. So they have lots of great stuff lined up for you. But I wanted to remind you, there is a SAG strike going on. How many of you have been hearing about that? And every single person that bought a seat for this is here because of an actor, right? Not necessarily here because of a property or a TV show or a movie, but because somebody reached out of their set or their screen and made a difference in your life in some way. So that's what we're here to celebrate. We're here to celebrate actors. And so we want to keep that in mind. Actors have so many things going on aside from just the properties they were in. Just like you wouldn't come up to me and talk to me about being a loan consultant, because that's boring. But you might ask me about my kids, and I'd be happy to talk to you about them all day. So let's keep that in mind. Let's be respectful. And most of all, let's show our support, because we believe in what they're out there fighting for. Absolutely. I 100% do, because actors are a heck of a lot better than AI. Am I right? So through the day, we're going to remind you of that. But right now, I know that you guys did not pay to sit here to hear me talk. You paid to hear our esteemed guests talk. And we're going to bring on two of the best right now. Two guys who absolutely know how to entertain you far better than I ever could. So I'm going to get out of the way here. Make sure you have some cool questions. We're going to line everybody up for this panel at these mics during Q&A time. So without further ado, let's bring on Timothy Omundson and Richard Speight Jr. Give them a big hand.
I was going to say, I didn't know I took acid this morning, but I guess I did. This is fantastic, and you know what? You can't have a supernatural convention, and I've said this for years, without a banjo. So this is we're finally home. Good morning, everybody. How are we?
It's Richard Speight, everybody. God, he is so much more handsome in person, isn't he?
It's Tim Omundson, everybody.
And, by the way, I got applause just for walking up the stairs.
I know you did, which is bullshit.
Very nice, everybody.
Nobody said Jack. I walked up the stairs. Crickets. You go up the stairs. Yay!
Sorry, which one of us had a massive debilitating stroke?
Man, if you
I know.
Fine.
I'm 5 minutes in. I'm already playing the stroke card.
Oh, I do that with Rob all the time. When something will happen, I'm like, okay, who saved whose life? Sorry, Rob, you have to pay. Who here is experiencing their first supernatural event of any kind?
And
especially that area over there. A lot of people.
Supernatural event. It's a general Our Careers event.
Our Careers event. Yes. In fact, I just got canceled. Shoot.
Kicked out of the union, buddy. Already.
2 sentences in
3
already.
minutes
I'm
in.
screwed. Yeah, I know it's a little strange with the strike element of it, but you know what? It's all for the greater good. And by the way, for those who don't know, and those who raise their hands saying it's their first convention might not know this, but Tim and I have known each other since we were 18.
So
we went to college together.
I realized this August, September, we are celebrating our 36 years of friendship.
36 years of friendship. That's a long time.
Get over here and give me a snuggle.
And I'm still not taller than him.
Just like college.
He was a sophomore. I was a freshman. I'm like, oh, well, maybe when I'm a sophomore, I'll also have facial hair and be tall.
But look at you now.
Yeah, I did. I got the facial hair. I'll tell you, the first time I met Tim Omundson, this is my first time meeting Tim Omundson's story, Tim was the BMOC, the big man on campus for University of Southern California's theater school.
Ridiculous.
Dude, Please. I was a freshman coming out of Nashville, Tennessee, and Tim was already established as the guy. And so he was a sophomore to my freshman. And I remember walking into some party in some dorm rooms or somebody's apartment somewhere.
This is all lies.
This is, first of all, damn you to hell. Tim is sitting on the sofa holding court. Well, first of all, around the corner, and I'm like, kid, man with pointy beard and deep voice, regaling people with stories of yore. Because Tim, the running joke with Tim was that Tim speaks like he's Elizabethan. You know, it's like, I had 2 weeks. 'Twas a fortnight that I traveled here and yon. I mean, so he talked already. He was very theatrical. He had this jet black beard that came to a point. I couldn't grow facial hair. I couldn't draw facial hair.
What happened to the jet black, Richard?
I don't know, man. Well, it went to sophisticated gray.
Thank you. I appreciate the sophisticated part.
It took 36 years, but that's not so bad. Anyway, so that was my introduction to Tim Omundson, was this guy who was this force of nature sitting on the sofa holding court, and I looked like Kurt Cobain's half-wit brother. Yeah, so, and from then forward, it was, I've always been not just a buddies, but a tremendous admirer of Tim. And we had the good fortune, because there's plenty of people that I like, that I know, that I haven't worked with. But Tim and I have gotten to do Jericho.
I don't remember that show.
Yeah, right. Liar.
We did
that
an
show
early
together.
TV show together.
And we did another TV show together. And I know another episode of a show that Rob and I wrote, there was an episode of the show inspired by Tim Omundson that you were too busy doing other shows to do.
With massively famous people, because someone to equal my level of fame, not quite.
Not quite.
She was a huge TV star, and I was not. But I still managed to get this job anyway. But Richard and I have also trod the boards together.
Trode. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. That means we did theater, just for those that...
Just post-college graduation. By the way, how stupid was it that we went to a theater school and lived in a town where there is very little theater?
It's ironic. Los Angeles is not known for its theater scene. I mean, it has theater, but that's not really its bread and butter, as you well know. But we were theater majors in the heart of Los Angeles, California, where film and TV are gods.
But cut to 1990, it was the summer of 1990.
This is the guy I'm talking about. The guy that 'twas the summer of 1990 in the year of our Lord.
Plenty of flagons of mead were drunk that summer, I tell ye.
Yeah. Mead flowed like wine.
So that's when I was doing a little theater company called Strike Theater. And
yeah. Ironic, since we're on strike, that you worked for Strike Theater. But
if only we had known then.
Right.
So there was a super famous, Tate Donovan was one of the big guys to come out of our theater school. So Tate was off to Europe to go do a big shot movie.
Right.
And I was still trying to get arrested as an actor. And someone said, hey, I know this guy from theater school. Let's get Tim to come play this role.
So you were replacing Tate Donovan?
I wasn't replacing. I was sort of understudying him in a Jacobean theater,
right.
A Jacobean tragedy, like you do when you're fresh out of theater school.
And I don't have to explain to you people what Jacobean tragedy is. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's why you're here. Continue.
Let's just say it's very dark, wordy.
It's tragic for guys named Jacob.
Exactly. Or Jacob. So we were doing this one play. Basically, everybody died. Spoiler alert, everybody dies in the end. And
I'm laughing already.
Doing this excessively classical theater in Los Angeles, again, we would do shows for easily 20s of people.
Yeah, 20s.
Like you'd get a Sunday matinee and there'd be like 7 people in the house.
I always felt that was cool because then if the shit broke out, I knew the actors could take the crowd. Because there was more of us on stage than there were of them in the theater. You know what I mean? Like, if a fight broke out, I liked our chances.
And as we're all on a pile dead on the stage,
right?
I heard this one lovely little lady go, "They're all dead, but that one's still breathing." Tough crowd,
There's always one person to ruin it.
Yeah, they weren't super excited for the LA theater scene, but they asked me if I knew anyone about us who could come play with us.
There was so that reminds me of a story that I will tell about working on a certain show that I can't say titles, but I can say one of the actors I was working with. It's a fella, up and comer, not a good looking dude, but he works with what he's got. Jensen Ackles, and it was the first episode of television I'd ever directed, and there was a sequence in which one of the characters was a supporting cast member was dead, and the shot was just being panning across the room at all of the items that was going on. It was a point of view shot, like the actors are looking around, and so now this is the shot of taking everything in.
Also known as a POV. If you want to get super
POV.
technical.
Exactly. And the actor's name was Everett. And without giving too much away, he was in a unicorn ensemble. And so we're panning across.
This wasn't a college party, Rich?
Well, I come to think of it, the acid is kicking in. So I would, when the camera was going around, I would say, when the camera would get off of him, pan off of Everett, I'd go, breathe, Everett. I'd say, and so pan, pan, pan. Right, all right, Everett, hold your breath, 'cause I knew the camera was coming towards him. And I was back at the monitors, and behind me hanging out was Jensen Ackles. And we're doing the shot, and I said, all right, hold your breath, Everett. Breathe, Everett. Hold your breath, Everett. Breathe, Everett. Hold your breath, Everett. And from behind me, I hear, breathe, Everett. I'm like, oh. Kids is like, you're trying to kill the kid? I'm like, oh, sorry, Everett, I forgot.
Just say, this just goes to prove, if you have a death scene, don't be an a-hole. Because if your director doesn't like you, he could draw that scene out for a good...
Exactly. He could pull an Everett on you.
A good 45 seconds.
You'll get Everetted. Anyway.
You know what Speight did to Everett?
He'll do that to you. Oh, by the way, I see. Just FYI, Timmy and I are happy to wax poetic up here. But if you have any comments or questions, there are microphones in the aisle if you so choose. Just FYI. So keep that in mind. But yes, I didn't kill the kid, luckily. And Jensen brings it up every now and then.
I do. Speaking of you being a director, I just want to say how few careers are like you've become incredibly successful sought-after actor, and because you're so gosh darn talented, you flipped that into you parlayed it into a brilliant directing career.
Thank you, Tim.
And I want to say how proud I am of you, and all of us in the in our little family are incredibly proud of you.
Thank you.
See, look at it.
I appreciate that. I'm lucky that I got started on a show that was so welcoming, helped me not kill guest stars, for example. And just accommodated my journey into the fold. I will forever be grateful to the show that we're
You're
representing
welcome
today. Thank you.
Oh,
And
funny.
Tim,
Who have you not hired? What the hell, man?
in my defense, you were like employed for about 27 years straight there, brother.
Touche, my friend.
Kind of hard to get you. And I've tried, but that day will come. I'm not worried about that.
Thanks for trying at least, buddy.
Absolutely, and it will happen soon.
I cannot wait to be on a set with you.
Me too, and I hope you're not dead, so I don't have to have you hold your breath. All right, we actually have people at the microphone, so why don't we
Hello,
see what's going on?
people.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Wow, I feel like I've waited years for this panel. 2 or 3. Richard, can you please tell the potatoes au gratin story?
Okay, so I can tell you.
You mean the Timmy O'Groton story?
The Timmy O'Groton story. So for people who don't know, they just see Tim as a sophisticate and sort of a erudite man about town. Yeah, see? And that's not fake. That's how he drinks water. Or tea. Fancy man. Anyway, I've known Tim for a long time. Like, as I said, went to college with Tim, have traveled with Tim for events, been on sets with Tim, and there was one detail I did not know until Las Vegas 5 or 6 years ago. And we were telling this story to each other last night over dinner with Rob Benedict because we ordered this item of food. Tim Omundson has a crack-like addiction to au gratin potatoes.
Which I didn't realize until this one dinner with.
Yeah, which I had no idea. I foolishly, if I had known, if I knew he was a man in crisis, I would never have put him in the path of the potato like that. I'm sensitive to people's fallibility. Like, I wouldn't do that to him. And he never told us. I guess he'd been in recovery. I'd never seen him go to town on him. But we ordered, it was a huge table. The band was there. My father-in-law, a big group of people in Vegas at this dinner table. And I'm on this end, and Tim's way down there. And he's got that Gallivant mane, and he's wearing a purple suit. So, again, he's the classiest guy at the table until in this family-style way we're eating, passing the food around, we order au gratin potatoes. And
What's I like to call them? Au gratin.
au gratin. Potatoes au gratin. And the platter gets to Tim, and Tim is like, as he's holding court, like, yes, 'twas a great summer. I recall, and he's taking this, that, and the other, and here come the potatoes. Yes, and I also enjoyed going boating that summer. I thought to myself, I should buy a dinghy because they're so delightful. And we're watching Tim. We're like, there's 12 other people, buddy. He's like, I know. I'm aware. And like hands an empty plate to the guy next to him, and that's it. Tim took the whole effing platter of au gratin potatoes. And people are there like, oh, Rich is exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. Ask Benedict. The man took the whole effing plate of au gratin potatoes. And we're like, Tim, there's other people. You may flag down the server and order yourself some more.
I say, garçon.
Boy, do you have any more of these delectable potato delights in your kitchen for my compatriots? Anyway, he ate the whole damn thing. And the next day, so Robbie and I were sitting at the end of the table, Rob Benedict, and I go, I've always called him Timmy O. That's just, probably a lot of people in your life call you Timmy O, but I've just always called him Timmy O. So I was like, Timmy O, more like Timmy au gratin. So the next day on stage, the other thing this is why I know it's a crisis point for Tim. This is why I know it's not funny, and all of us need to take this seriously and not enjoy this story. Because the next day, what do you do when you know you have a problem and people call you out on it? You get defensive. And
shut up!
Exactly. It was the next day, Robbie and I had to introduce him on stage, and so we told a little bit of a truncated version of the au gratin story because it just happened the night before. We're like, this mofo loves him some cheesy potatoes. Ladies and gentlemen, Timmy au gratin, instead of Timmy O. And he came out so incensed. It's the only time I think I've seen Tim genuinely annoyed. We're like, I had what I would consider to be a normal portion of potatoes last evening. And I do not appreciate being jettisoned under whatever vehicle you drive as some sort of comic villain in your tale of potato consumption. I won't stand for it. You'll hear from my agent. And
I believe there was probably, how dare you, sir?
There was.
And then I threw down a glove.
Pistols at dawn, I think you may have said, as I stormed off. Anyway, so we've realized that Tim effing loves au gratin potatoes.
Shut your drunk face.
And I have a photo of him last night. I'll put it on Instagram with Tim's permission, of Tim going to town on some au gratin potatoes. Because look, the man likes what he likes. You know what I'm saying?
Which, FYI, I had one portion which I didn't finish.
Dude, here's the thing. If you have a wine glass this big and fill it with wine, you can't say, I only had one glass of wine. The police will go, oh, well then keep going, sir. And that's your potato. Your potato measurement's really effed up. Because if you take the entire plate of potatoes, you can't say, I merely had one portion.
Was it my fault it was a really large serving spoon they served it with?
That's a good point. You know that there's story of, I'm going to tie this up here. Neil Young has a pet bison. And Neil Young's pet bison they used in Dances with Wolves a lot because he was well trained.
Okay, who knew that before you? Who woke up this morning going, I know that Neil Young has a pet bison?
I tell you what they did do. They probably woke up and going, I know one of the members of C, S, N, and Y has a pet bison. I can't remember which one. Was it Crosby or Stills? No, it was Young. And so he had a pet bison, and the pet bison he had trained the bison to come to him whenever he held up an Oreo. And he would stop, the bison would stop right where the Oreo was. And so in Dances with Wolves, that's the bison they used for all the charging at Kevin Costner scenes. Because they could have that bison charge the camera, and then the bison would just stop because there'd be an Oreo right in front of the... So that's how they did it. That's what you do if you want Tim Omundson to come to you. You just get a platter of au gratin potatoes, and then Tim, be he on steed or foot, will come galloping towards you, and then stop right at the au gratin. Now, if you get between Timmy and the au gratin, then you didn't read the paperwork because you're not going to have a lawsuit.
There's
They're
a
gonna make
reason
you
they have
sign
safety
something.
memos on set, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. They warned you, so that's on you. Anyway, there's the Timmy au gratin story. Thank you for teeing that up. That's a good one.
So it's never potatoes de fond.
No, it's never anything but au gratin potatoes. And by the way, in his defense, I want to give Tim a little props. He did suggest mashed potatoes last night. We foolishly rejected it and went with the au gratin potatoes, and we're paying a price for it today.
There was some sauteed spinach to go with it. It wasn't all carbs.
No, it wasn't all
I mean, I'm
carbs.
trying to fit in some type of my old clothes.
Yeah, you just get something green under one of the potatoes somewhere. All right, you young lady.
Hi, guys. I'm going to try to follow that up and to be a little strike friendly here. Okay, first of all, Rich, I think you have little sparkles on your face there. But
I'll take it.
okay. Tim, I have a question for you. Do you prefer the detective-ish short hair that you had for so many years, or the, as Rich called it, the luxurious mane of the evil son of God / crazy knight?
First of all, I very much appreciate the way you danced around our
Isn't
strike.
that good?
Our strike.
I
program.
Yeah,
worked
that was
on that
good.
all
Well
night.
done. Well done. Well played.
Thank you.
Yep.
To answer your question, I prefer my my luxurious, now much more gray locks of a certain evil king who danced and sang his way across England and Wales and Morocco.
As do I. Good choice.
Thank you. However, having just one hand to use, it's a little hard to quaff the
Quaff.
well, to quaff either, especially as it gotten longer. Although my darling wife Allison, who's here somewhere, Allison, yeah, you got to stand up.
Is Allison here? There she is. Right there. There's Allison.
She hates when I
right
do
over
this.
there.
So Allison has now become my other than the love of my life, my main hairstylist. So basically I deferred to whatever she likes with her. I tried to go detect. I almost said I almost got me. I almost said the character's name. I tried to go Detective Short again a few months ago, then quickly received protests from all the women in my life, and went, okay, well that's not happening anymore because it was much easier to do with sort of one hand.
True.
But if I get this other hand, or when I get this other hand back, I'm thinking I'm going back to the
glorious mane.
the glorious mane of King Richard, so I can go.
Excellent.
I also will say another little Tim Omundson detail in that story. He says one of the only guys I know who, when trying to say fixed hair, goes, it's easier to, and people would say comb, brush, fix, coif. That's the word he just pulls out because that's, again, he's Elizabethan. Thank you for your question. You.
I think are you going?
Oh, no.
Okay.
He works here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure. So my question is for both
Thank you for
of
sharing, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Someone was raised well.
Thanks. So my question for you guys is, what's your favorite movie soundtrack?
Ooh, that's a good question. When we were flying here, I flew here yesterday with my youngest son. I've been showing him every now and then when we travel. I try to bring one boy at a time because I have 3 sons, and it becomes a cool way to spend one time, little dad-son time with one kid. And I usually, especially when we're flying, I try to inject a movie I would like them to see because they're a captive audience. It's hard to wrangle the fellas to get them to watch movies that I think are cool if they're not in the mood for it. But on an airplane, what are they going to do, walk out? So we watched, I guess I'm not allowed to say titles of movies. If I'm not in it, can I say the movie title?
Yeah, I think so.
I can, right? Well, yeah, I can say this because it just celebrated, I think its 40th anniversary, The Lost Boys. And the Lost Boys soundtrack when I was a kid, even now, is a fantastic soundtrack. Now, that's not score.
Right.
Like so soundtrack, I absolutely love that one. I also loved like Boogie Nights, and there's some that had like that. Those are all existing. I guess Lost Boys was a lot of original music, but Boogie Nights is all old stuff that they gathered. But also just from a score standpoint, American Beauty,
That's good.
one of my favorite scores.
Well played.
That's a gorgeous score, and I know. Well, no, I don't want to step on strike stuff, but I'll go with that. I love scores.
I do too.
I just love them, especially if I loved the movie or connected to the film. But even if I didn't, one of my favorite scores, and this is not even a movie, but did anybody go see the immersive Van Gogh?
I did, actually.
So that music to me was unbelievable. The score for that was unbelievable, and I went in the gift shop looking for it. I was going to buy it, and it actually is just a Spotify playlist they put out for free. So if you've never heard or if you saw it and liked the music, Immersive, the company that does those immersive things, puts out the score for Frida, for all the ones they've done. They're just on Spotify.
Is it all Chopin?
No, it's all it's
Sorry, I meant Chopin.
Chopin, yeah. Chopin, gratin. It's not. It's a mixed bag. They kind of they dip into Edith Piaf, and they dip into some people I'd never heard of. There's some piano compositions by a pianist who I have saved, but I don't remember his name. That are so gorgeous and haunting that it'd been a long time since I'd gotten that excited about a score, and immediately downloaded it, listened to it, and forced my wife, who's a beautiful piano player, to learn one of the pieces because it's just such a haunting, and she can read music, and I can't. But she downloaded it and learned to play it because it's just such a gorgeous piece of music. If you don't know that score, but you've seen the immersive, even if you haven't seen the immersive thing, go on Spotify and look up the immersive Van Gogh. It's gorgeous.
I'm going to do that. Thank you for the tip.
You're welcome. Now, what about you? What scores or soundtracks?
This one probably because it's a lot of music we've never yet played anything from this, I don't think, but I'm shocked by probably The Commitments.
Oh my gosh, The Commitments, dude. Okay, I got a little Commitments trivia. So I was in, and this is my favorite. So I was in a band right after college in my early 20s called Fugitive Pope, and Fugitive Pope did one record. We got signed to a tiny label in North Hollywood, California, and we did one record. And we were an acoustic trio. Is my buddy Sam Klein. You remember Sam Klein?
I do know Sam.
Right. So we were. In fact, you got us one of our first gigs at Genghis Cohen. You hooked us up because you knew somebody at Genghis Cohen because you'd played harmonica there or something.
I had played it.
Yeah.
Although the first time I ever played harmonica was with a band of a little pal named Richard Speight.
That's right.
Richard Spot.
Tim played harmonica with my college band, Strange Neighbors. That was that band. But so Fugitive Pope played. We were playing with my buddy Sam Klein as an acoustic trio under the name Sammy and Rich Funkle. And even though there's another guy named Larry in the band, Lovely Larry kind of got shut out of the title. But it was Sammy and Rich Funkle. And when we got signed, we changed the name to Fugitive Pope. When we added Larry, we kind of changed it to Fugitive
Wait, you mean
Pope.
Lawrence?
Yes, exactly. Lovely Larry was his name. And we became Fugitive Pope. So when we made the album, we didn't have a standing bass player or drummer. So I'm getting back to what we're talking about. So they brought in to play on our record the bass player's name, Paul Bushnell. who at the time was in a band called Edna Swap. And Edna Swap never broke big, but they wrote a song that broke big called Torn, Natalie Imbruglia's song. Edna Swap wrote that song and had recorded it first, and then she picked it up and recorded it. And Paul Bushnell was the actual bass player for the Commitment soundtracks. He is an Irish bass player, rock guy, who did this. So when you listen to the music, you're listening to Paul Bushnell on bass.
Is it stand-up bass or electric?
Electric. Unbelievable player. And just to finish the story on this thing, the drummer they brought in was a 22-year-old kid from the Valley who played. It was insane. He was an unbelievable drummer. And he just got named and selected to be the new drummer for the Foo Fighters, Josh Freese. So Fugitive Pope, the main three dudes in Fugitive Pope didn't do much in music, but our support staff, our drummer and bass player, were the best in the business. So if you want to find deep Josh Freese drum tracks, go find yourselves some Fugitive Pope music. And
Yet
good
no
luck.
harmonica at all on
Sorry.
this album.
Yeah, I know. It was lick and stick free. So Commitments is, what about Score? Is there a movie where you're like, just,
Okay, then if we're going to go score, I got to go with The Mission.
that's so Mission. So, Ennio Morricone. Ennio Morricone did The Mission.
See, this is why I didn't want to do the panel with Rich, because he's much smarter than me and knows people's names.
Man, well, I mean, Ennio Morricone, you can put up anything that guy's done. If you want to hear a guy who's just run the gamut, download Ennio Morricone and listen to him start with, a fistful of dollars through the Untouchables, and just everything he did in between. I mean, The Mission being, he's an unbelievable composer. Unbelievable. Anyway, I could go on.
I do have to credit, I didn't come up with that on my own. My dear friend Marco Sanchez turned me on to that score. So I've got to credit my buddy Marco.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. One of the other great scores, I'm going back to the CD time, and soundtrack, was Apocalypse Now. And one of the things I loved about how they released that soundtrack was they kept in the sound mix of like choppers. And so if you listen to it, it's almost like an audiobook in a way. They'll have snippets of Martin Sheen talking. You'll hear helicopters. Like when it goes into This Is the End, it's not just the Doors song. It goes through and you hear, it's a sonic experience. At least the original CD was. I don't know how it presents itself now on Spotify or whatever, but if you actually had the album or the CD of it, it was stunning how they did it. And I love that because they kept elements of the movie in the score.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
I have a few favorites, actually. Mine are kind of, you're probably going to roll your eyes, but I really like Titanic.
No, that's gorgeous music. I just took my sons to see that in Vancouver when they re-released it.
Yeah, the 25th anniversary.
Yeah,
I was there for that, too.
Took my sons to that, and they absolutely loved it. That movie holds up beautifully.
Yeah, James Horner is just a genius. I love his music.
Indeed.
And I like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, again, and fun. That's a fun score too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. Good question.
Yeah, thank you.
That was a thinker. I had to think about that one. Yes, go ahead.
Good morning. This is a weird question. As a kid, is there a favorite dish that you like?
Sorry, I got it.
Can you Can you tip that down towards you?
Thank you. See,
There
we
you
are,
go.
we are
Can you hear me?
friends for 35 years.
Okay. Is there a dish that you love as a kid, and when hanging out with your friends, you talked about it, and then you tried to have them taste it?
Dish?
A dish.
Oh, food. Okay. Well, I definitely didn't make them try anything because I don't really cook anything, so I wouldn't have ever forced them to try it. I'm trying to think of what I liked as a kid. Well, this is cliche, but I always liked my mom's stuffing. Thanksgiving stuff. You know what I mean? I always liked that, and this is a dish, again, not fancy, very basic, but that I loved and had to sort of force my wife to get on board with Thanksgiving, is the sweet potatoes with the marshmallows on it,
Yeah.
which is how my grandmother did it. Yeah, Frank knows what I'm talking about. I love it with, like, sweet potatoes are fine, but they need the marshmallows on them. You know what I mean? Like it's that's the thing to me. So
That'd be a sweet potato casserole, I believe.
in a way, I mean, it couldn't. It's literally a sweet potato dessert, is what it is. But you mix it in with the entrees and confuse everybody. So I'll go with the stuffing, which, by the way, I know it's like in bad form to do stuffing inside a bird now. Like apparently you can die. I miss that. We don't do it, but I miss the stuffing in the bird. That was dope. And then the sweet potatoes with the marshmallows. Timmy?
I missed what the question was.
What food item or dish did like your parents make for you that you still reflect fondly of, and maybe even cook yourself?
Well, of course, it'd be my great-great-great-grandmother's potatoes au
I knew
gratin.
this. By the way, I saw this softball in the air. I'm like, all right, well, I'll get out of the way of the bat.
However, having 17 brothers and sisters, I never got my fair portion.
What? Really?
We think that may have led to his crisis event in Vegas years ago. Are you a cook?
I was before that thing that happened to my brain.
Right, but so you like to dabble in the kitchen?
I was the dabbler of the kitchen, yes.
So what was the thing you enjoyed making for your daughters and wife the most? What was like?
I made a pretty damn good, well, I still make a really damn good pesto.
There you go, pesto. That's awesome.
But if I had guest server, it would be the, probably I'd go with an enchilada. I was pretty good at.
Oh, do you make good enchiladas?
I do make a pretty good enchilada.
That's
but
cool. My I grill. I do enjoy grilling, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I grilled some bitchin' chicken like 3 nights ago that I was really proud of. So I like messing around. Again, I think everything I say in the food wise is a bit of a cliche, but I do like grilling because I like cooking outside. I think it's awesome when you have the ability to do that. It's kind of cool.
The things with grilling, I used to like grilling a lot too, but now it's become such like there's 17 shows about grilling and grill masters. Yeah. So I feel a little inferior to the grill masters on the television.
Well, then you're not going to like the show King of Enchiladas. It'll be coming out soon.
Damn it.
That'll destroy your love of that dish. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, my name is Morgan, and I'm gonna dance around the strike stuff. So,
Sure.
on that certain time where you Zoom with Rob for like an hour,
Podcast?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I have to dance.
I think I
around
can
that.
say podcast. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So on that podcast, either you or Rob said something about asking about broccoli. So I've decided to ask about broccoli.
We did? What did we say?
I'm pretty sure you said we can't answer strike stuff. So ask Rich what kind of broccoli he likes. But
Okay.
that's actually not my question.
But I'm going to tell you, steamed. And I'm going to tell you something else. I do a good steamed broccoli. I wanted this a segue. And there's a bit of a debate in our house because my wife is a far superior cook to me. Far superior. But the boys like my broccoli better. And it bugs the shit out of her. Because she's like, we do it the same way. I'm like, do we? I mean, I don't know what I'm doing different, but they seem to respond better. It may be my panache, how I serve it. I don't know. But somehow I've got her in the broccoli department. Anyway, there's your
So-
answer to that.
I always wondered how does Richard Speight make broccoli? So
Now you
thank
know.
With
So-
love.
Love, that may be the ingredient.
So I have a way more weirdly specific question of what kind of broccoli, like bake or fry or whatever, do you feel encapsulates I can talk, Nashville, Tennessee?
What kind of broccoli
Yeah.
kind of like encapsulates Nashville, Tennessee?
Yes.
Grilled broccolini. On a grill tray, slightly seared, lightly salted.
Are you giving me a recipe to make to tell my dad to make?
There you go. You're gonna love it. You do it like so. Again, I'm going back to my grilling, but I like you have the grill tray and you do that so your broccolini doesn't escape. And then you pre-rub it down in olive oil, or rub the
So
tray
since
down.
it's the South, could you do a little like bacon grease?
Oh baby, yeah you could. I'll tell you something. You can put anything in bacon grease, and I'll take 2, please. It's apparently, again, it'll kill you. But I'll tell you, there was a period of time for medical reasons when I was not eating meat. And I, at the time, did a movie in the South. And I'm from the South. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. But this was even deeper than in a smaller town. And it's tough to be a vegetarian in the Deep South if you're really trying to adhere to it specifically. Obviously, there are vegetarian restaurants and all that kind of stuff, but just this catering, I'd be like, there'd be, green beans. And they're like, we got you a green bean dish, got you covered, enjoy. And I'd scoop it out, and there'd be like the neck of a pig. And I'm like, you cooked it with a ham hog. Like, well, hell, I'm not an animal. Obviously, I'm not going to not make it with pork. And eat around it. It's a vegetarian. I'm like, I'm not sure. Yeah, fine. I mean, there was slabs of meat and everything, or pork fat or whatever. But that's what makes it good.
Did the chef ever go, boy, you gone Yankee on us?
Boy, you going. I remember literally somebody said one time to another friend of mine he was from Oregon. We were teenagers. He was visiting the South, and we're talking to somebody, and he said, blah, 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 George Jones. And my friend goes, who's George Jones? And the guy looked at him, he said, you don't never heard of George Jones? Boy, where you from? And I love that question because it's one word. Boy, where are you from becomes, boy, where you from? You know, one time Jason Manns and I spoke redneck to each other to get out of an awkward situation at a foreign convention because we were somewhere where they spoke fluent English. And we were exhausted and trying to get out of the situation. And Jason, who's from rural Virginia, leaned over and he said, let's talk redneck. They won't be able to follow our vernacular. And I'm like, okay, let's try it. And he'd be like, y'all want to get out of here? I'm like, shit, yeah, I want to get out of here. I'm exhausted. Like, all right, well, let's tell them we don't feel well or something. We'll get out of here. I'm like, all right, let's do it. 1, 2, 3. We don't feel well. We're going to have to go. And the fact that you deep Southern people don't move their mouth, you can't read their lips, you can't do anything, especially you got a mustache.
Well, the fact that Jason used the word vernacular is really impressive to me.
I said that so you knew what I was talking about. Jason don't use them big words. That's from the Omundson dictionary.
Couldn't you also just go, I say, Richard, I feel like I have a touch of the vapors.
Yeah. Tim's version of that would be like, let's speak an unrhymed iambic pentameter. They shan't be able to follow us. Proceed.
Richard, shall we anon?
Yeah, exactly. Methinks I'm exhausted. Thank you for the question, by the way. Appreciate it. I think I answered it. Did we answer it? Yeah, I got it.
Hate to break in real quick. I believe we have time for just one more, guys.
All right, one more question. That's you. No pressure. This is it. This is the one they're going to walk away remembering. This is the question that's going to seal it all up and bring every topic we've addressed today and maybe even previous events to a point that leaves everybody thinking, wow, they summed it up beautifully thanks to that question. And the question is...
Hi, I'm Eden, and my question is, well, we're all familiar with a particular Tuesday morning on the show.
Right.
If you had the option to choose a different song for when the boys are waking up, what would it be?
Oh, like a song, the repetitive song?
Yeah.
So the idea is, what song would we pick that would basically be an annoying song to wake up to every day? Because in the certain show she's talking about, there's a song by the band Asia.
Asia, yeah.
That plays over and over again. What's a different song? What's the song you find annoying that would antagonize Jared and Jensen if they had to hear it every morning? Let me think about that. No, not Baby Shark. Baby Shark's too on the nose. There are literally there's songs in the world.
I did have.
Oh, I know one. I got it.
Yeah.
Because I hated this song growing up. It drove me nuts. And back in the day when you only had the radio to lean on, every time it popped on, I pushed the button to go elsewhere. True by Spandau Ballet.
How dare you?
Boy, I tell you, there's some
God.
Spandau Ballet fans over in this quadrant. Yeah, that's the one I would do, and to drive them bananas. That's that one. What about you?
I feel this is really more your department as the director on that particular television show, but I'll give it a shot. Okay, to annoy those boys on that particular show, to doom them forever to hear it. the Macarena.
There you go.
Let me do that better. The Macarena.
And that is how you wrap up a convention panel, ladies and gentlemen.
And by the way, we are here. Rich and I are here tomorrow telling more lies.
Oh, yeah, we're here. We'll be back here spewing more gossip and nonsense. So if you had a question, you didn't get to ask it, we'll be right back on this sofa tomorrow. This is fantastic. Thank you for people who are throwing Momento Con for this opportunity. I've never gotten to do this with Tim. Known him for 35 years, and finally, this is a great moment. So thank you.
Thank you,
and thank you all for being here. And thank you, Momento Con, for putting it together.
Yeah,
we'll see you guys later.
Thank you. Thank you, King.
And now you clap as Tim goes down the stairs.